I think a lot of people find that they don't have painters. They cannot find painters because they don't look in the right spots.
Yeah.
So if you actually like one of the first things that we teach in that recruiting section is like how to drive a lot of traffic to your hiring funnel. It's like you need traffic, and by traffic is you need eyes on it, you need applicants. So what are all of the different sources that you can use to get eyes on your form?
Welcome to the Painter Growth Podcast, where we help you scale your painting company in record time. Join us as we explore sales, marketing, hiring, finances, leadership, and more, everything that you need to know to scale and grow your painting business. I hope you enjoy and subscribe.
What's up, everyone? Michael Hickman here, founder of paintergrowth.com, and you're listening to a different kind of episode of the Painter Growth Podcast. We've done this a couple times, live coaching calls on the air, and well, not live, I guess, pre-recorded coaching calls. And familiar face here, Mike. Welcome back. You were just on the other day with a painter growth story, so thank you.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And stoked for that. And today we're going to work together on some things you want a little bit of help with. So why don't we jump into it? Why don't you just kind of spell out where you're at in your business and what you're working on, and then we'll just kind of go at it from there.
Yeah, absolutely. Pumped to be on this. Yeah, no, I'd love to kind of get, talk through hiring, onboarding once you get those hires that you want and, getting them on the job site, and how do you retain them? How do you coach them best to kind of, fall in line with your systems and stuff. So.
Okay, so let's just recap where you're at right now in business. So right now you're in a position where kind of up to now you've been fairly like one-man show, a few helpers here and there. And now with your
yeah, I mean up to 2023 of fall, last 6 months have been less off the tools, and now I'm completely off.
Okay.
Now. Yeah.
Cool. And as I look away, I'm just like taking notes to help me like stay on track. So completely off the tools, and you got a ton of work. So you're hiring some painters. How many painters are you hiring right now?
I'm looking on adding another crew, but specifically, I know me and Gavin talked about this. One of the coaches was bringing on two guys at least, or one or two guys that could kind of quickly move up to a lead painter spot. So I'm looking right now and probably bringing on 4 or 5 and trimming that down to 3 or 4.
Okay. So what's your current onboarding procedures look like?
Current onboarding procedures is they come on. I spend probably about a day with them, walking them through how things go. I also have a different team lead on one of my crews, and they are actually pretty responsible for getting them up to speed and spending a lot of time with them. But I don't really want to continue to pull someone right now, as that crew is doing really well. So I'll probably be implementing and spending some more time on the job site with this crew. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay. So no like formalized training structure or anything?
No, I don't have an SOP for it. No.
Okay. And are these like experienced painters you're hiring? Are they fresh green painters?
All of them have some experience from what I've seen, and the references check out. But that obviously could vary as they get on the job site. And hey, how do you really hold a paintbrush? What's your experience level?
Yeah. I had this one guy who claimed he had experience, and we got to site. He tried holding his paintbrush like this,
like a knife.
And I'm like, no, dude, you gotta like turn around. And I kept trying to like have him flip it over, and I gotta hold like a pen. And he just every time I went back to him was holding it like this. And so needless to say, he worked for me for one day.
Yeah, no, I've had similar stories to that, a couple of years ago. So we're very quick to weed those out.
Yeah. So I think for like a successful onboarding there's like a few different stages to it in order for it to like really be successful. The first stage I would say is like right when you're making the hire on expectations, like spelling out expectations really clearly, talking about what you expect in terms of like the logistics of the job. What time do they start work? What time do they stop work? What are they responsible for? What are they not responsible for? What are their expectations in the homeowner's house? How are they supposed to interact with the homeowners? Are they going to be responsible for setting up and moving equipment? Like really aligning true expectations of what you want, just so that that's super clear. And then I always like to do, like I would also hire in batches typically. And I would like to do kind of like a group onboarding kind of welcome where we go through a lot of that expectations and some of like the administrative stuff. So, if I was hiring 4, I'd have them all over for like pizza, and we would talk, like we'd go through the, our welcome package and our expectations, and just like really just like talk about the job together and get everyone kind of like mingling a little bit so they're a little bit friendlier, because there's like one part of it where you want them to enjoy their work and enjoy their colleagues, and then the other where you want them to be clear on their expectations. I would typically then have like a trial painting session just to make sure that they knew how to paint a little bit, especially if they were on the less experienced side, where I would set up some drywall boards and some trim boards in my garage and just have them do some painting and caulking, just so like their first time of me seeing them paint isn't on a homeowner's house, because that, could be bad. And then once they go through that, then it gets to a training house. So before I kind of jump to that training house, anything stand out to you on that like first kind of 48 hours there?
No, not really. I mean, that's something that I back when I've onboarded, I would be on the tools, get them on there, they do it with me. I guess also just for the gelling, I mean, that just makes total sense. I mean, instead of them showing up to a job and be like, who do I talk to, versus, getting them there to a shop or wherever you're at. That's no questions on that.
Yeah, I mean, there's like, we've all hired someone they claim they have 10 years of experience, and then you get to the job saying they don't know which end of the brush to hold.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've used a sprayer, no idea what a sprayer is.
Yeah, exactly. Why is it making noise like that?
No, you gotta prime it. Yeah, you gotta prime it. Yeah, no.
Yeah. Or spraying hose water onto the wall.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's where like doing some of those technical things and doing offsite training can be really helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now the next is on-site training. So even if someone has a lot of experience, I like to use a concept called trust but verify, right? Trust that they know what they're doing, but just verify it. Because like if they say they have a ton of experience and you send them on a project on their own, chances are they're going to completely botch the job. And even if they know how to paint, they don't know how to paint the way that you paint or the expectations that you sold the homeowner. So, at the start of the job, explaining to them, well, first of all, explain to the homeowner they have a new painter who's you're training. Like, that's fine. People understand that that happens. And as long as the clients get the same outcome, it shouldn't matter how, experienced or inexperienced they are. But you need to make sure that your painters are really delivering on the project that you sold. So an example I like to use is, if do you guys use paper on the floors, or do you use plastic and tape the baseboards, or do you use drop cloths? Do you vacuum each room after? Like, what do you do with your paint when you go for lunch? Do you just cover it with a rag, or do you clean up your brushes? Like, all of these little things that each painter might do a little bit differently, you need to standardize, because it's just like, if you typically sand between coats and this new painter doesn't, but you sold sanding between your coats, that's just a missed expectation with the homeowner now. And now you're not doing what you promised you were going to do.
Yeah.
Right. So that's part of like a skills inventory. So having like a list of all of the skills that you want to be able to see each of your painters do before you kind of like quote unquote certify them in these skills, so that they can now go do a job without you. So can they prep? Can they patch holes? Can they caulk? Can they cut trim? Can they roll? Can they spray doors? Can they do whatever minor repairs? And like seeing them do these things to an adequate enough level that you would feel comfortable with them doing it without you there. And then when a job comes up, you can like look at all the things you're doing on that job. It's like, okay, this is really easy. 3-bedroom repaint, no trim, just walls. Like, I know these two guys can do that because I've seen that, and there's not like anything funky. You're not going to throw them on a railing if you've never seen them do a railing before.
Yeah, gotcha. That first on-site job, I mean, how I like to do it is just a nice, small, easy, soft job. Thoughts on that versus like what's most common? I mean, I usually throw them on a deck if it's the summertime and just kind of see how that goes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what I like to do is a big complicated exterior for summer season for a new painter. And the reason why I like that is because you get to train on everything on one project, right? Like it's going to take you a little bit longer, but if you're doing stucco and you're doing some wood siding and you're doing some deck railing and you're doing some soffits and you're doing some window frames, you have a chance to demonstrate a lot of skills in one project. And yeah, you're going to be on the job a lot more because you're training. But, you know, when we talk about like the value per skill, $25 an hour is kind of your value per hour when you're painting, or $50 per hour.
Yeah.
$50 per hour is not your value when you're training. So even if you're on site for, you know, 24 hours over 3 days, you're not just working as a painter, you're working as a trainer. And that's way higher leveraged than just painting, than being a producer. So you don't even want to be producing at all. You don't want to be contributing to production. You want to be going around, say you have 3 or 4 painters you're training on this job. You go around and you like work with one, you demonstrate a skill, you test them on it, and you assign a goal for them. I'll tell you the Duragi principle in a minute. And then you go to the next painter, help them. Then you go to the next painter and you just keep cycling until you've seen them all do all of their skills.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I didn't think about that. I mean, that definitely makes sense.
I mean, a simple job, I get it. Like I get the idea of doing a simple job, and that's, you know, the easy ones are easy. So you hope they wouldn't screw those up. So let's start with the hard one. Let's get a lot of skills inventory out of the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you heard of the acronym Duragi?
Yeah, it's like do. Yeah. I know where it's going, but yeah.
Demonstrate.
Yeah.
So demonstrate the skill. Observe. So observe them doing the skill, and then re-demonstrate. So do it one more time, and then assign goal. So like say, okay, you're doing this window frame. I'm going to demonstrate how to paint the window frame. Cool.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to ask you to show me how you can cut it. And then I'm going to re-demonstrate it one more time. And then I'm going to say, okay, paint this window frame. You have 20 minutes. So sign in the goal. And then you set a stopwatch or set your phone for 20-minute timer. And once that timer goes, you should go back and you go, and then I is inspect.
Yeah.
And so you're doing the skill, but you're also doing the expectation on how long it's going to take. Because like I've seen someone take an hour to paint a window frame. I've seen some people do it in 10 minutes. And if you set that expectation right from the get-go, this is a 20-minute window. So I'm going to set a timer for 20 minutes and come back and check where you're at. Because then if they're behind, if it's like they still have a third of it left or whatever, then okay, was it skill or was it commitment? Do they not know how to paint quicker, or is it just they're not working hard enough? And you can tell that pretty quickly.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, that's huge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, then that's once they learn the skill, right? Like it's a skill for you as the leader to be adequate at, or to be proficient at the skill of skill transfer.
Yeah.
To be able to get, and that's something that I was actually pretty good at. I was never a really great painter, but I was a pretty good skill transfer. So I could demonstrate painting for a short period of time and get people really good at it, versus I didn't have a good enough attention to detail. And actually, attention to detail is one other thing I just want to mention quickly. When you're demonstrating like that, and say you're rolling stucco and you're demonstrating, and you watch them, then you re-demonstrate, then you assign a goal, and you come back to inspect. What you need to do here, especially for less experienced and more experienced, you need to, when you're inspecting, you need to be unreasonably picky at the attention to detail. Like getting to the wall and going within like 2 inches of the wall and looking at it, looking for imperfections, and putting tape on or pointing at like little tiny specks that they missed or a little tiny drip that they have. Because if you give them that like 150% unreasonable expectation, they're going to come back and they'll do like 80%.
Yeah.
Right. But if you give them like 80%, then they're going to come back at 60% and think that that's okay.
Yeah. Calculate for the margin of error for what they're doing. Yeah.
Exactly. So like be unreasonably picky on the cut lines that they're doing. Like be unreasonable with how straight you expect them. And if they can't cut them straight, then you tell them they need to use tape.
Yeah.
Right. But if you are unreasonable, they're going to come back from that and be still like not 100%. Right. So how unreasonably picky can you be?
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, I definitely will get that. And I guess like Duragi, right? That's how you say it.
Duragi, yeah.
Duragi. I feel like that just kind of, just gets bigger. I mean, instead of like being on one little task, like, okay, now I'm going to let you do this side. like just kind of grow that. Is that kind of like a good framework for that?
Yeah.
In
Yeah,
terms
exactly.
of responsibility, I guess, as they get better, and just, all right, good side there. Now let's look at this side.
Exactly. And as you get better people and have them better trained, yeah, you can assign bigger and bigger goals. I was listening to Alex Hormozy the other day, and one of the things that he was saying is with like the quality of the people that he has on his team, right? Where he doesn't go, like, if you have a low quality person, you might say, okay, go build a Facebook ad, and I wanted to say this, and like this is your like goal, right? Whereas like if you have a high value person who's very capable, you might say, I need you to increase our sales from 200,000 to 400,000.
Yeah.
And like it's so much like looser ended, but because they're capable, they can take that and they can achieve that.
Yeah.
So it starts really small, do this window frame, and then it'd be okay, here's what you're gonna do for today. Like, here's your goal for the day. We're gonna look at our sheet. We're gonna get 10 hours of production done. So that means, or even like, hey, can you build me a plan for the day? Here's the plan for the whole job. What do you want to get done today? And then they'll look at it. Okay, 10 hours of production. I'm gonna do this window and this side of the wall. I'm gonna do this prep, and then I'm gonna do the deck railing. Okay, that's 10 hours. All right. Do you believe you can accomplish that today? Okay, sounds good. Start my stopwatch. I'll be back at 3.
Nice. Yeah, no, I love that kind of framework. So in terms of that, would you teach or kind of assign everyone at that base floor of like, let's see, would I be teaching someone differently? And okay, let's see how their skills are. But, I ideally want one of them to be kind of the lead and get assigned that lead responsibility as soon as possible. So is that training, I guess, even throughout? Or is it kind of catered for who you see in those roles? Because ideally, okay, this team of 3 or 4 that I pull in, that we start, eventually one of them is the goal is to have that one be the job site manager, the foreman.
Yeah. I mean, I think like you don't necessarily have to be the best painter to be the leader.
I agree.
Right?
Yeah.
You have to have like leadership characteristics and be able to command the respect of your team. So I think throughout that training project, it will become apparent who's the leader, right? The person who's trying to do their best and who's actually, exhibiting leadership characteristics. So I think it's kind of like the cream will rise to the top, and it'll be pretty obvious.
Yeah. Okay. And is there like a certain timeline I should have on these? Like, okay, should I maybe have one pick? Like, I ideally want to get them as quick as efficient we can to, have someone take over. So I'm not spending, 8 hours each day, a full day on the site. Is there a certain timeline I should aim for to kind of start giving that slack out that's reasonable?
So it comes back to skills inventory.
Yeah.
Right. Being able to be a job site manager or a crew lead is just a different inventory of skills. So we have the technical skills of painting, but like, let's just list out a few of the non-technical skills, the softer skills of job site management. Showing up on time, talking to the homeowner, doing a walk around, doing a contract review, confirming colors, organizing the crew kit, making sure the tools are there and set up on time, giving the team goals and setting expectations, wrapping up at the end of the day, giving you a daily report, closing up the job. All of these things are just a different skills inventory of the crew lead. So once they have painting down, and that's like not a thing, right? Which sounds like your guys are pretty competent. Hopefully that translates to the job site. Yeah. Now it's just a matter of doing a skills inventory on these job site management skills.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So do you feel, we've got a friend here. Do you feel like if you were able to observe, I mean, even the same way, use the same framework, the Duragi framework on any of those other skills, maybe a little bit different. You're not like inspecting, but you'd be observing, hey, like why don't you watch me do a walk around with the homeowner, and then you can ask me questions about it. And then on the next job, you're going to do the walk around with the homeowner, and I'm going to watch you do it, and I'm going to grade you on it. Right. So just the same, demonstrate and observe, and then re-demonstrate. And sooner, you do that a couple of times, and all of a sudden they got it. It's not a thing anymore.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So skills inventory. The one other thing I wanted to just mention on the painting side of it, it's something that isn't talked about a ton, because people just usually talk about, okay, can you paint, can you roll, can you cut? But productivity is really important, right? And this is kind of like a new age, like a lot of old timer painters, guys have been in the industry for like 10 years. From my experience, having here dealt with like over 500 contractors in the last few years, a lot of like the less professionalized painters don't think in the way of productivity. They think in the way of how many dollars can I produce in a day, not in terms of how many hours can I produce in an hour, or how many production hours can I produce in a day. So we want to be able to first maximize our on our skill transfer, focus on quality. And once we get quality to 100% or 110%, now we can start focusing on speed, right? Okay, so you did this window in 20 minutes. I want you to do the next window in 15 minutes. Okay, what are some, at least on exterior, what are some techniques that we can do to optimize speed? Well, we can have as little time as possible between like brush refills. We can have our tools on the wall as much as possible. We can make sure we maximize these ladder placement. We're only going up and down the ladder one time. We bring all of our tools with us. Every time we go back to the crew kit, we are like actively thinking what tools are we going to need for the next hour. It's taking a quick lunch and getting right back to it. Always keeping a wet brush. Like there's so many, a wet brush or roller. Like there's so many like productivity things that you can do on a technical side to be more effective. And then the motivation side as well. So are you paying them hourly, or do they have the ability to participate in the upside with a piece rate system? Because if they have the technical ability to paint quickly, and then they also know that they can make $35, $40 an hour on their piece rate system, now you have the makings of someone, the third one is, and you know what their goal is, and they're aligned with making more money so that they can achieve this goal. Now you have someone who can produce at 1.5 or 2 times the speed of your average painter.
Gotcha.
And that starts with you actually on the job site. When you're doing this training job, like, are you demonstrating a sense of urgency when you're on site? Because when I was running training projects, I would run them almost like a military boot camp. Like we'd be like, all right, guys, we're here. It's 7 o'clock. Let's get started. Crew kit's open. All right, boom, boom, boom. Like, okay, let's do this. And we're power walking to the ladder. We're moving things quickly. It's like we have a high sense of urgency to be productive. And if we can maintain that sense of urgency, like I said, you do 100%, they're going to do 80%. So you maintain that sense of urgency. You're moving quickly. You always have a wet brush. You're changing tools quickly. They're going to see that and they're going to replicate that. But if you take your time, come off the tool, chit chat, saunter back to the crew kit, no sense of urgency, they're gonna follow your lead.
Yeah, monkey see, monkey do.
What was that?
I said monkey see, monkey do.
Yeah, exactly.
See, and you got to set that standard.
Yeah, but productivity is not often thought about. But it's like, if you can produce 3 more jobs in a month, it's huge. And that's like that productivity mindset is all that it takes to be able to do that.
Yeah, I mean, that's all profit too. And, setting the standard that they're going to win with that and make more money per hour is, huge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that training project, probably, 3 days, 3 to 4 days. You'll also be able to demonstrate all those job site management skills to, if you've identified a crew lead, have someone come with you on the walk around and the contract review and picking up the check or the payment and all of that. So you should be able to do an initial demonstration with all of that too, and then it's the next project, right? Probably do a little bit closer with them on the second project, but you don't have to quite be on the site the whole time, and then less on the third project, and then, maybe a daily check-in on the projects from there.
Gotcha. So you like to get probably 3 down under their belt with supervision of some sort, and then, all right, be a little less,
Yeah, and it does depend on the painter as well. If they're like, in this first project, they're just crushing it, and I can, they validate my skepticism on every single skill, and they're just off to the races. They're productive and they know everything like well, then that next project they're probably good to go.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a little bit. I typically hired people for attitude and not for skill. So a lot of painters that I hired just were never painters before. So that took a little bit longer to train. But when I would hire a few experienced ones that I did, it took a lot less time. You still do that verification, but just like you don't have to necessarily take like 3 or 4 or 5 days to do it. You can do it in 1 or 2.
Gotcha.
Yep. So how do you feel now about like this onboarding? So I know you've been doing interviews the last 2 days. How are you feeling about the next onboarding phase?
I feel good. I mean, this definitely gives me like a blueprint, like, okay, how much time should I really be allocating? It seems like the first 2 projects, full days. I mean, depending on depending on what we actually see in the field. Um, I feel great about it now. I mean, it's now just getting that documented as well, so that okay, next time, like, it's not my time that I'm using. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And eventually, if you have a guy who's like, is with you for a while and can do all of those skills, you can now teach them to become a trainer.
Yeah.
Right. So next time that you're hiring people, again, back to the skills inventory. Does this person know how to run a training house? Does this person know how to do direct? Does this person know how to observe a walkthrough? So it's like the next level of training the trainer, and that will free you up so that you can just hire them, they train them, and that makes life a lot easier.
What's your take? I mean, that's pretty controversial, but what's your thoughts on hiring experienced painters for a while versus hiring, someone that doesn't have paint experience? What do you think like that outlook in the long term is?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's controversial, but I think there's just different frames of thought. If I was in a pinch and I'm like, I just need some productivity, I have all these projects lined up and I'm just dying right now, then I would look to see if I could hire some experienced painters. Now, experienced painters are going to be more expensive, right? You're looking, right now, depending on where you are, like $25 to even $35 an hour for someone who's experienced. And that's, you're going to be over 40% on labor for that type of painter. But if you hire, but it's going to, you're saving time by paying more money because you're getting that experience up front. If I was in control of my schedule at the time and I had that benefit of foresight and I could see like what my production ramp up was going to be over the next 3-4 weeks, I would look to hire less experienced because number one, they're going to be cheaper. They're going to be cheaper. They're hopefully going to have a better attitude, and they're not going to come with a bunch of bad habits that I have to fix.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, depending on where you are. So you're probably kind of a little bit in the middle.
Yeah. I mean, like, I don't, I'm hiring because I don't need a hire, but because I want to right now, and we're going to need it eventually. So I guess a little bit of both.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, in that case, I would probably do the less experienced. You also get a lot more loyalty when you give someone a skill.
Yeah.
So if you bring them on and you teach them how to paint, you teach them this skill, they're going to be a lot more loyal than the experienced painter who's been in the industry for 20 years who will leave you for $1 more an hour. So, yeah. Cool. What else are you working on?
SOPs on the computer, just kind of cramming that. I got an interview here at, right after this. And then fire back a bunch of clients in terms of like just bids and stuff. Repeat customers that just want something else bid now. So that's kind of like my, right after this is what I'll be working on, just some like stuff. And getting back to all the interviews and getting back to, looks like we're bringing on a VA next week. That's huge. Made that SOP, and that's kind of like the other big thing right now is like, I'm looking at onboarding more talent and then onboarding a VA. So,
yeah. Where did you find your virtual assistant?
You shared that
from that list?
Yeah, from that list or that doc. And I probably screened 3 of them. And then, one of them just stood out a little bit more than the rest. And she honestly looked like, in terms of what the role wanted, like what the role required and what she wanted for compensation, I mean, it was perfect. It's worked out. So looking forward to kind of getting that ramped up.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think in the next few weeks, we're going to have a lot more resources on ramping up virtual assistants. Now, for your interviewing process, you've gone through the training that we have on interviewing.
Yeah.
Cool. How are you finding your interviews? Like the way that we recommend interviewing is obviously a lot different than probably you've interviewed in the past.
Yeah. I mean, I used Indeed a lot for this, and that's just continued to kind of like word of mouth too, is a couple of the people that have, done an interview they've also told others, like other people about it, and they've actually hopped on it too, which is, I mean, could be good, could be a waste of time. But yeah, no, I think Gavin helped you kind of with that, and that's really kind of helped out, and just really like separating it and just weeding out with the qual calls and having it all in one spot. Indeed's great for hiring, especially in the trades. It seems like it's popular right now. Yeah, but I want to kind of get different, a different, marketing mix for that. Facebook, socials, and I think that just grows as you grow. I mean, it'd be great if we always had applicants and I didn't have to spend money, you know what I mean, doing that. But, Indeed has been good so far. I mean, we'll see what happens with this crew. I mean, if it all works out, that's great. So,
yeah. So did you want to talk a little bit about hiring painters through Facebook ads?
Yeah, no, that'd be awesome. Kind of like a funnel for that, and kind of how that framework works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we have a full training on that. I don't know if you've seen it yet.
I have not.
Yeah.
Is it in the? I guess.
Yeah, it's in the training area. But it's in the hiring section. But basically, on like a high level, like you have an ad that represents the painter, with like imagery of a painter, and the image needs to say something about now hiring. Now, when you're setting up Facebook ads for a recruiting funnel, like specifically in US and Canada, you need to claim your ad as a recruiting ad, and when you do that, you lose access to a bunch of like the targeting features.
Oh yeah.
Because like you can't choose age or gender or like even neighborhoods you can't choose, and that's because you don't want to. Facebook doesn't want to like have you discriminate based on age or gender. So you can't do any of that, which ends up being fine. But basically, you have your ad, you claim that special recruiting status, and you set up an image. We have some image samples, but basically got like a picture of painter, now hiring experienced painters, or now hiring painters, blah, 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 no experience necessary, whichever one. And then we have like a text write up for the content. And typically what will happen is they'll click on it and you want them to go to a landing page. And the landing page will just have like, I like to use a VSL, or like video sales letter. That's what it stands for. And it's like a 3 to 5 minute video of like me talking to the camera, talking about the job opportunity, some details of it. They can click apply, and then they go to a Google form where they fill out the Google form. We don't ask for a resume or anything, but just like if they can fill out the Google form, there's like logistical information about like them, their name, address, phone number, do they have transportation, and then if they want just some open-ended questions as well. Why do you feel like you're fit? Some technical questions, explain to me from start to finish how to paint a bedroom in your own words.
Yeah.
And just a few more questions there. Anyone listening to this, if you want to copy that, just let me know in the Q&A here after on that or under the podcast, or maybe I can just put a link to the form. But basically it's pretty simple form, like 10 to 12 questions. And then what you can do is you can filter through them really quickly. And what I do is I typically don't look at anything except the open-ended question, like why do you feel like you're a fit? And because if someone just like writes one word, then I'll just skip them. But if they like actually try to like answer the question well, then I'll give it a second look. And then standard application process from there. Call them, do a setup call. If that setup call goes well, invite them to an interview, and then do a 2-interview system, and offer them a role at the end if they're a good fit.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
What's that? What's kind of your second interview look like?
Typically the second interview, if I'll know by that time if the person's going to be a good fit, but after the first interview, I'll check references.
Yeah.
And then it'll just be a follow-up on that, and ask a few more questions. But typically going into the second interview, I'll know if I'm going to be hiring them or not.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah. Because once you have a good first, hour with them, and then you check references, or one reference even, yeah, you'll know who you're getting by that point.
Yeah.
And so that second one, like, again, same things you look at for the first one. Are they on time? Are they presentable? How do they organize their time? Are they friendly? All of those same things that you were looking at from the first one. Do they show you those same things for the second one? And then if so, awesome. Ask them a few more questions if you have, and then you can make them the offer and handle paperwork and stuff there.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay. Another question I got, I start that trial period wage. That's just standardized, not piece rate or anything like that. Curious on how much you would adjust that for someone that says they have so much experience, and would you ever break on that, whether it's $1 or $2, or kind of your thoughts on that?
Explain how you do that.
So what I like to do is like a 2-week trial period. The first paycheck is, hey, you're billed at this X rate, because hey, we're gonna have to spend a lot of time working with you, and not even just seeing how technical you are, but just the processes that we do. It's gonna take more time, and also, you say you're a great painter, but I don't really know if you hold the paintbrush right. You know what I mean? We're talking about so. That's received pretty well, I think, and a lot of guys are like, oh, okay, yeah, no, I can. Hey, you'll see how well I can do, and it's like, okay, great, awesome. But some guys that, hey, currently are painters or currently do or have another occupation, which I think is a green flag in terms of hiring. Like, there's a reason why you're looking for jobs, but especially if you already have a job and you're like, hey, I'm getting paid X, that trial period is going to be a lower wage. You know what I mean? Typically, okay. That's kind of what I mean. Is that something that you're flexible on? If they're like, hey, I'm getting paid 29 right now an hour working at, X vendor, X company, and hey, I'll offer you, 21, 22 to try to for your trial run. Is that something okay, this is a reputable company, references check out. Is that something maybe you'd bend to a little bit and start maybe at 24 or 23?
I mean, I think like the thing that comes to, I've never had that exact situation before, but the thing that comes to mind for that is if they say they're a really great painter already, then maybe there's an opportunity for them to prove it and earn piece rate on that first project. Okay, so the first project is going to be like, this is an 80-hour project, and if we get it done in 60 hours, then I'll pay you the rest and you'll make that 31.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Right. I think that's probably it. Then they're betting on themselves versus you just saying, bending at your rule. But then the other side of me says, like, it depends on who has the power in the hiring relationship, right? Like if you have a lot of applicants and you just think he's the best applicant, but like you don't really you could find someone else in a pinch, you have the power. But if it's like you're having a really hard time getting applicants and you really need them, then maybe give him what he wants a little bit and flex, because ultimately they have the power. So that employee-employer dynamic, it can change within a few months. Like I think 6 months ago, no one could find a painter, and like now there's it's not quite as bad. There's more painters available, at least from what I've seen. I know some people are still really struggling to hire, but I think that can change fairly quickly. Yeah,
it's weird because I wouldn't think there'd be just such a big pool with, it's an exterior season right now. It's June. It's probably busy time. So I'm kind of like, oh, really? This many people looking for work, or to switch around and work somewhere else?
Yeah,
is something I wouldn't have expected. But
I think a lot of people find that they don't have painters. They cannot find painters because they don't look in the right spots.
Yeah.
So if you actually, like, one of the first things that we teach in that recruiting section is like how to drive a lot of traffic to your hiring funnel. So you need traffic, and by traffic is you need eyes on it, you need applicants. So what are all of the different sources that you can use to get eyes on your form? You can put up flyers in the paint stores at Home Depot. You can run Indeed ads. You can just post on Indeed for free. You can run Facebook ads. You can use Monster. You can put up posters at your church. Like, there's so many ways you can get traffic. And I think that most people just don't even, like, they kind of give up before they try. They'll like talk to their paint rep and they'll tell them that there's no one, so that they'll also give up.
Yeah, no, I've experienced that before, where I just talk to my rep. I'm like, hey, who's looking for work? I don't really know. No one that you'd want. You know what I mean? So
yeah. Yeah, and that's the case. But you just gotta be creative and look in multiple spots. And I think that if you actually try, and do the work, people will find quality people.
Yeah. Another thing I've realized is just keeping that on. Like, always be recruiting, always be hiring. You know what I mean? Because you never know when, a great painter is going to get pissed off working for someone else and they're tired of it, and then they're going to get snatched up, versus, oh, we're not really looking right now, but it would have been worth to bring them on when we, when we don't need them. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So
Cool. How do you feel about everything? Feel like you got a plan?
great. Yeah, no, this is great. This has been awesome. Good little chat on hiring and onboarding. So it's been sweet.
Awesome, man. Well, good luck and keep me posted.
Yeah, we'll do. Yeah, no, we'll be in touch. All right. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks for listening to the Painter Growth Podcast. If you want to grow your painting business, go to www.paintergrowth.com or click on the top link in the description. Talk soon.